everyone, I'm Becky.
I'm Sarah.
And we're doing Bickering Book Reviews. Today we're talking about Spinning by Tillie Walden, which this is the first book that I am reviewing that I got at Book Expo of America. Even though you had already read it.
I got it off NetGalley.
She got it off NetGalley. And this is a graphic novel memoir about Tillie Walden, and it's about her life and how she was basically, up until she was, I believe, in 6th grade, she was living in New Jersey. She was a competitive figure skater. Then her family moves to Texas, and she has to move to Texas and change how she's training, who she's training with, different aspects of that, about her going to school. And it's also about, she's always known that she's homosexual, but she's kind of starting to figure out how to deal with that in the world and how to come out. And she's dealing with, does she want to be a skater? Doesn't she want to be a skater? And it's just a very interesting memoir about her life. And it goes up until when she's 17, and according to the back of the book, she's only 21. So it tells a lot of her life. I know, it makes me feel like a slacker.
I know, right?
So I really liked this book. I thought it was a great book because it's not about her really coming to terms with her sexuality, because she knew. There's a part where she said she knew since she was like 5.
No, I think it was more about kind of her figuring out her own identity, not just related to sexuality, but in the world, because she was very much an island. She was very alone,
right?
I think, throughout the whole book. And even in kind of the images, you see kind of just her surrounded by all of this space.
Right.
It was just very lonely, and it definitely kind of pushed your emotions. Made me so very sad when I was reading it.
Well, and I think she does a really good job of showing how you can be functioning and how teens can be functioning and they can still be severely depressed. Because there's parts where she's getting up and she's going to practice and she's going to school and she's interacting with her family, but she's just every definition of clinically depressed. Yeah. And that was something you don't really see a lot. You see either you're depressed and you can't function, or, oh, they're just kind of unhappy. I also, and I don't know if we're actually allowed to show this, but I'm going to show. I really liked how, to tell the story, she sometimes would use, the entire page with thousands and thousands of little boxes. I know there's not 1,000. But she also does this really wonderful thing where she's trying to highlight, because most of the book is done in this kind of gray, purpley gray. She just adds little pops of color, and I loved that.
I mean, yeah, her use of color is beautiful. I think it furthers the thoughts of depression and isolation. But her shading, her coloring is phenomenal.
Right.
It looks awesome.
And I don't think she went to school for this, because in the book, she's saying that she didn't go to school for it. And on the author's description, they don't say anything about her going to school, and she's only 21 years old. So it's just talent.
Yeah, no, it is.
The other thing I thought was really interesting, and again, because it's a memoir, so this is what really happened, there's interesting dynamics with her and her family about her father was so much more supportive than her mother.
But it still feels like he wasn't even fully present in her life.
I think that was one of those, he did as well as he could, but there's a part where she's I guess this is kind of a spoiler, when she comes out to her parents, and her mom's basically, oh, this is a phase, and her dad's like, well, I love you, which I liked that.
Yeah. It feels weird reviewing a memoir, though, because it feels like I'm reviewing her life, and I don't want to make judgments about Tillie Walden's
I know.
life.
I was talking to somebody about this the other day, because I'm listening to a biography in my car, and I said, well, in a book, they're characters. What do you call the people in a biography? Yeah, are they characters? I know. It's very odd. I'm trying to think. Do we have anything else we want to say?
No, I mean, I like how the chapter headings were, how she drew parallels between different skating moves, so what's going on in her life.
I can show one of those really quick. At least I was going to show one. Right. No. So right here. So she actually describes the move, the skating move, and then what it is, and then as you read the chapter, you're like, oh, this is really relevant to that part. And I learned a lot about skating. I was watching it, but I didn't know anything about it, so there was that too.
And then the synchronized skating, which I don't know.
I had seen that, but I was like, they're hardcore.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah. So it was interesting. It was a very interesting book, and it was well done.
It's very well done. So we're gonna rate it.
So we are, but I'm gonna say if Tillie Walden watches this, I am super sorry. I wanted to see you at BEA, but at that point in the day, I was not feeling it. I was so you were one of the people I wanted to come and like support because I had read the arc and I was like, oh, Tillie Walden's gonna be there. I want to be there. I want to support her because it was a really great graphic novel, and I just couldn't do it.
I feel like going to get her autograph was one of the very last things I did one of the days. Like I think I darted in the back on my way out.
Yeah.
So our rating scale starts with 5 unicorns if it's awesome, goes down to 2 unicorns if it's just kind of okay. If we don't like it at all, it's a horse because it's not sparkly and awesome. I'm going to give it 4 unicorns. I thought it was a good book. I think it's a great book to give to teens who are depressed or just trying to figure out who they are. And I loved the art.
I'm going to give it 4 unicorns too, for many of the same reasons, but also because I think it's certainly going to add to the canon of LGBT. I mean, even though it doesn't focus on that, it is still present. I think it's still very comparable to like Fun Home and different. I think it's going to join that kind of canon that people will kind of look to when they're talking about LGBT graphic novels and LGBT coming out stories.
And that's where we are on spinning.
All right, adios.
Bye.